Hi everyone, it's Erin from the Provincial Farmhouse. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be giving some thrifted baskets a French country makeover. You can find a full product list in the description of this video and all your crafting needs on our website, theprovincialfarmhouse.com.au. Sometimes you find a basket like this beauty that is the perfect color, it's just perfect in every way, but it just needs a little bit of something extra. So I'm going to be using some drop cloth to create a French style label. So here you can see I've laid it on the basket and I'm just measuring out how big of an area I want to cut out. And this is just going to be something that's to your liking if you're going to give this a go. It really is just about how big you want your design to be. I am going to be working with a stencil that I already have, so I've got a rough idea of how big it is. Now I'm going to trim off the edges and I want this to look aged. So once I've got it trimmed to the size that I want it to be, I am going to pull and fray the edges to give it a more vintage sort of a feel. I love baskets. They're such a beautiful and handy storage piece to have in your home. I always pick them up when I go to the thrift store. And as I said at the beginning of this basket was beautiful as is, but I love the French style baskets with those vintage labels, so that's what we're trying to recreate. I'm going to be using one of the mini grain stencils from JRV, and I'm going to be stenciling with some of Dixie Belle's silk mineral paint. We are using the color Umber. It's a very deep dark brown, and you can see I'm offloading most of the paint and then I'm just dabbing and swirling. I'm using a small artist brush for this because it is such a fine and detailed design. So I'm just going to work my way through the stencil, making sure that I don't miss any of the areas, and I'm just going to very carefully make sure that I don't have too much paint on my brush, because that is where you get bleed through. Once this is completely dry, I'm going to heat set with an iron, and then I'm going to come in with some 220 grit sandpaper and I'm going to distress the design. Again, I want this to have a faded look. I want it to look like it's been on there for many years, and distressing is going to give us that effect. Now we need to attach our label to our basket. So I'm using Dixie Belle's flat clear coat and I'm putting a good thick layer on my basket, and I was just going to do that, but I've decided to add a nice thick layer to the back of the label itself first. I found that this was just a bit more helpful in making sure that I got the fabric thoroughly damp. So here I'm going to use my hot glue gun, and we're adding that to each of the corners just to hold it in place while our product is setting up. This isn't the only thing that's going to be holding it. So I've got a lot of the flat clear coat on my brush, and I am brushing it over the top of my drop cloth fabric here, and you can see I'm working the bristles in different directions and really trying to push it into the cane basket. And this is just going to make sure that we have a really good contact so that as the product dries, it sticks and stays there. And here's our first finished basket. This was such a simple and easy label to make. It was easy to attach, but it has really taken this basket to the next level. Let me know what you think of this in the comments. Our second basket makeover is another easy one. I loved the color of this basket. I wasn't super happy with the lining and it was a bit dirty, so we've taken that out. And I'm going to repeat similar steps to what we did in the first basket project. I'm trimming out some drop cloth fabric for a French label. And I'm going with a bit more of a rectangular design here, and you can see that I am going to fray the edges. Again, this adds to that aged finish. Once I have it the right size and look that I want, I'm going to be using IOD's Antiquities stamp, and I'm also using IOD's permanent black ink. So I've selected my design and I'm going to ink up my stamp. I'm inking it up more than I would if I was adding this to a painted surface, because I know that fabric is going to soak up that ink, and I want there to be enough on my stamp that we get a good impression, that we can see all the beautiful details on this stamp. I've just tidied up any areas where I got ink that I shouldn't. I'm going to hold it in position and then press down. And you also probably want to apply a little bit more pressure than you would on any other surface as well, to really work it into that fabric. Next, I'm going to be using my heat gun to heat set that ink to make sure that when I come in with my water-based product that ink does not run. So we're going to be using Dixie Belle's flat clear coat again, and I'm applying a generous amount of product to the back of my label and then to the basket where my label's going to go. And then I'm going to position it where I want it. I'm using that hot glue again to hold it in place while the product is drying. And then I'm going to come in with my brush, and again I've loaded it up with that product, and I'm really working it into that fabric and pressing the bristles of my brush down into the cane of the basket to make sure I've got good contact. And here's the finished product. So again, this is a simple but really effective way to update some baskets that you have around your home or that you find at the thrift store that you love the color, but you just want to add that little bit of something special. Our next project is this sweet basket with a handle. I wasn't too happy with the color, but I loved the shape. I do have to use my heat gun here to reactivate some glue that's on the side that must have had some dried florals on it. So I'm coming in now and scraping off what I can. And again, just using that heat gun to melt that glue, it makes it a lot easier to clean up any of that residue. To tone down that orange color and to bring a bit of French country, we are using Fusion's milk paint in the color Almond Latte. It's a lovely, almost French linen color, so I'm just using a small little capful there. It was probably about a tablespoon, and again, you want to do 1 part paint to 1 part water. I'm then mixing it up really well, and I'm going to be using a natural bristle brush to apply my milk paint. I've just noticed that it tends to hold on to the product and distribute it a bit nicer than synthetic brushes, just my personal preference. So I'm going to work my way around the basket, filling in all of those gaps, and I'm using a mister to help that product move. I know a lot of people don't like to actually brush on paint when they're dealing with baskets. They like to use a spray can, but I like to be a bit hands-on where I can, and I am loving how this color is toning down that orange. It's really giving it major French country vibes. Have you tried milk paint? Let me know in the comments. I'm only going to do 1 coat of this beautiful color on the basket. I want there to still be some of that other tone showing through. It just makes it look a bit more natural. Once my paint's dry, I am coming in with Dixie Belle's Clear Bestang Wax to seal the entire piece. This is also going to be a good base because we are going to come in next with some gray wax. It's called Grunge Gray, and it's going to just give a little bit of tonal contrast. So I'm just brushing it on around the entire basket, and then I'm wiping off the excess. And then finally I'm going to come in with a little bit of white wax, and again, this is just adding to the tonal contrast. If you look at baskets, they're not all one color, there's lots of tones in there. This just adds a little bit of realism. I want to add something else to this basket, so I'm going to grab my ephemeral melange transfer, and we're going to pick a design for a little cardboard tag that I have, and I'm just trimming out this lovely rose design here. It's actually the perfect size. So before I actually attach it though, I'm adding a coat of Dixie Belle's Buttercream Chalk Mineral Paint. I want that lighter color behind my transfer. and then I'm going to let that dry thoroughly, and then I'm going to come back in with my transfer, peel off the backing, and then very carefully press it down. There was a little bit hanging off the edge, and it was a year, and I didn't want to waste that text. So after I have rubbed and burnished my transfer down, I am going to come back in with that date, and I'm going to layer that on top of the design that I already have there. I don't like to waste transfers if I can help it. Once I've done that, I decided to grab the twine, and I'm just having a look at it, and I still think it needs a little bit of something extra. I did have this key. It's from Would You Bend. I do have them on my website if you're interested, guys. I usually use IOD's lock and key mold to make my own keys, but this was a better size. It just fit better with the label, so I went with this. I already had it, and I've just painted it with a coat of Dixie Belle's buttercream, and I'm adding a little bit of brown wax to age it up. I'm then adding the key to the label, and I'm going to tie it onto the basket. And here's the finished basket. I just love how this turned out. That milk paint and the waxes really transformed a dated basket into something that I could imagine sitting in a French cottage. Let me know what you think of this in the comments. Our final basket project today is this, well, it kind of looks like a bowl, doesn't it? And I actually really loved it. I thought it was really unique, and I thought it would look great painted. So we're going to use Fusion's Vintage Laurel Milk Paint. Again, I am measuring out the milk paint. You want 1:1, 1 part milk powder, 1 part water, and then I'm going to stir it really well. I often like to use a whisk as well. I find that that really helps with getting that milk paint mixed up really well. And then once I'm happy, I'm going to come in with my natural bristle brush, and I'm going to paint the entire basket with this beautiful color. Now, I am not looking for full coverage. I am quite happy for some of that natural cane color to come through the basket. I think that that would just add to the beauty of this piece, and I'm just absolutely loving this color. It is a beautiful muted green tone, and it just pairs beautifully with this project. If you're wanting to give some baskets that you have a makeover, remember you don't have to actually paint your baskets. You could use a spray can. I am just loving the milk paint that I have, so I was just excited to try it out on these projects. Next, I'm going to be using IOD's Olive Crest mold. I love that label that comes with this design, so we're going to be using some resin. This is a fast cast resin that I have on my website. I usually like to use amazing casting resin. You pour part A with part B, equal parts, and then you mix them together, and it cures in about 10 minutes, and you have something that isn't going to break like clay might. Once I have my mixture stirred together well, I'm going to add my resin to my molds. I did think about possibly doing that design from the Classic Elements mold there, but in the end did decide to stick with the Olive Crest mold. So after about 10 minutes, I am taking my casting out of the mold, and I'm able to bend it a little bit because it's only just come out. And now I'm going to grab a design from the traditional pots transfer. I always like to look at my scraps, things that I've cut off, to see what will work, and I found the perfect design to sit in the center of our little label there. So I've peeled off the backing, and then I'm going to use the transfer stick to rub the design down, and I'm going to very carefully start to lift the plastic as I go to make sure that I have the entire thing adhered down. Next, I'm going to attach my little label to my basket using hot glue. So I'm just checking out the placement and making sure that I have the right shape. And then I'm going to add some glue to the edges where I know that it will make good contact with the basket. I'm then going to carefully position it in place and then press down. right now the basket's looking a bit too new, so I'm coming in with some clear wax, and then I'm going to come in with some brown Best Dang wax to add some age. I also already loved the color that the resin was. Otherwise you could always paint your resin casting. I just was happy with mine. So I'm coming around and I'm adding that brown wax to the entire basket. This is going to tone it and give it a bit more of a vintage feel. And here's our finished basket. I love how this turned out. That IOD mold and transfer together go beautifully on this basket, and that milk paint is just absolutely gorgeous. Let me know what you think of this in the comments. I really hope that you enjoyed today's basket makeovers and that maybe it's inspired you to give some of your own baskets a makeover, or to look at those baskets in the thrift shops a little bit different. Let me know in the comments, did you have a favorite basket makeover from today's video? If you enjoyed today's video, I would really appreciate it if you would give it a thumbs up, comment, and share it out to a friend that you think might enjoy it. If you're not already, I would love it if you could hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of our videos. You can find the products used in today's video on our website, theprovincialfarmhouse.com.au. Thanks for watching.